Hello, Anita Lo. How are you?
All right. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you. I'm so excited to have you as my very first guest for season 2 of the podcast. Just a quick note to let everyone know that there's a new cadence to season 2. Episodes are going to be released monthly on the third Thursday of the month. So if you're a fan of amazing food and amazing chefs like I am, you may recognize Anita from Food Network's Iron Chef America, where she defeated her competitor, Mario Batali. She was also on Top Chef Masters, where she battled top industry peers, finishing 4th out of 24 chefs. Before all of that, she got a degree in French language at Columbia University and studied at Columbia's French Language Institute in Paris. She came back to the U.S., got her first kitchen job at the world-renowned restaurant Grueling, moved back to Paris to study at a revered culinary institution where she graduated first in her class with honors. She then continued to hone her skills and work her way up the culinary ranks, working with top chefs in the industry, ultimately becoming an executive chef and earning her first 2-star review from the New York Times. From there, she used her life savings to open Annisa, which means women in Arabic, which was an intimate upscale restaurant in Greenwich Village serving contemporary American cuisine. She quickly received a 2-star review from the Times, Best New Chef Awards from Food and Wine, and The Village Voice. And that's just the first of years' worth of accolades for her work there. In addition to opening more restaurants and authoring 2 cookbooks, she is the first female guest chef to cook a state dinner at the White House under the Obama administration. She currently hosts culinary tours around the world with a company called Tour de Forks. She's the Culinary Director of Stylus, a private club on Manhattan's Lower East Side dedicated to the ephemeral arts, which I can't wait to hear more about. Life brought us together in a really beautiful, magical setting on the farm of a mutual friend, Patty Gentry, who does organic farming out on Long Island at Early Girl Farm. Check it out if you're ever in the area. So we had a chance to meet and break bread, specifically dosas, which were lovingly prepared with Patty's curated organic ingredients, sitting in the beautiful surroundings of the farm, and then had the unique opportunity to feed leftovers, because these dosas are enormous, to some goats that were hanging out nearby. So that was our introduction. It was a pretty cool setting. And again, I just want to welcome you to the podcast.
Thank you. I ate my full dosa, by the way.
Oh, yeah, most of it, but I saw you sneak a couple pieces to the goat. All right. What else might you want people to know about your amazing career? Either anything from the past or maybe a current venture that you're working on.
The club that we were talking about, Stylus, is primarily a sound club. So it's got all these high-tech listening rooms in addition to a recording studio and a health and wellness sound bath studio in the basement that is dedicated to the ephemeral arts, one of which is the culinary, which is food. That's going to be opening hopefully in February now. We're still in construction.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm going to be doing the culinary programming after that. I opened the restaurant, which is in the largest sound room. The sound room has been created by a gentleman named Devin Turnbull, who's very, very famous for this sort of thing. And it's going to be like nothing you've seen before. So it's going to be very exciting. And we're going to have performances and other listening opportunities. And then on the 3rd floor, I have this private event space that seats about 30. And that has this open kitchen where I can do classes myself, or I can bring in chefs from all over the world to do demonstrations or cooking classes or just dinners, wine dinners.
Wow. And so it's a true destination that's really hitting all of the senses in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Patty Gentry said that she'd come and do a nerd talk about her regenerative farming and a farm-to-table dinner.
Good. Count me in for that. If they'll let me in, that would be great.
Oh, yeah. The events are open to the public, but the restaurant is just for the members.
Got it. Perfect. That's really exciting. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to share personally, maybe something that lights you up, or maybe people don't know about you typically?
Oh, yeah, I'm a little bit of a monomaniac. I think if you're going to be successful in this industry, you have to be. So I love to fish. I'm an angler. I am also a forager. I am a member of the Long Island Mycological Club, so I go mushroom foraging. I ride a unicycle.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
That's pretty cool. How long have you been doing that?
I don't do it anymore, but I can.
I'm sure it's like riding a bike.
Yeah, I've been doing it since I was very young.
What made you pick up a unicycle the first time?
We had one. I don't know why.
Okay, just hanging out in the house.
Yeah.
And what's a typical meeting of the Mycological Society? What happens? What do you guys do?
We go on forays. Now, there's somebody always in charge, some mycologist or some enthusiast who really knows what they're talking about. You should never eat anything that you're unsure of.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm a beginner. And we just walk around parks and find mushrooms and try to identify them. And I'm all focused on the edibles, but I think there's a lot of really nerdy types there that just want to identify any sort of mushroom there. Yeah. It's just fun. You've got Latin jokes. It's hysterical. Yeah.
Oh, God. I should have asked you to have a Latin joke prepared, but next time.
Yeah. Thank you for sparing me.
Yes, no problem. Okay. What are your pronouns?
My pronouns are she and her and whatever. I get called sir all the time. It's interesting to me, and everyone's usually taken aback by that, but I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. It doesn't bother you on any level, or?
Not really. I am gender nonconforming. I haven't worn a dress or a skirt, or I never wore makeup since I was in high school.
Yeah. It sounds like you're comfortable in your own skin with who you are, and whatever people want to do with that is fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's been times where people have been like obnoxious about it and then it's annoying, but usually it's just a mistake.
Yeah, understood. And then in terms of your intersectionality, who you are and your navigating your career as an outsider story, how would you describe that?
I'm gay. I'm a lesbian. I'm Asian. I'm Chinese. I'm non-gender conforming females.
Great. I was hoping we could start here and then use this as a jumping point for the rest of the conversation. When we connected previously, you talked about your first day cooking in a kitchen. It had something to do with a heat wave.
Yeah, after I graduated from college, I went to go work at Boulé. And then a friend of mine's mother helped me. She was a food writer for the New York Times, helped me get an introduction to him. And I was making little canapes. But it was during the longest heat wave. It was like a 30-day heat wave in August 1980, must have been 88, yeah. And it was like 115 degrees in the kitchen. It was just awful. Back then, we all worked 12, 15 hours a day, 6 days a week. Every night I was having heat sickness as I was throwing up, and my body wasn't used to standing all day. I think one of my muscles got inflamed in my leg, and my mom, who was a doctor, thought I had a blood clot and was like, go immediately to the emergency room, which I didn't. Yeah, but at the same time, there were these little scallops that you'd cut open and they were still moving around the edges. And, and they were cooking things like melts, which I hadn't seen since my childhood.
Can you remind me what smelts are?
A little freshwater fish that you deep fry.
Oh,
and that was one of the things that we had one of the canapes there. And then we had steamer clams, which is, I grew up digging those like when I was a kid. And I hadn't seen those in forever. And people weren't afraid of different types of foods. They were cooking veal kidneys, which is a very French thing. And I felt, okay, I found my people.
Yeah. It's interesting to come out of a heat wave and a mom saying you need to get to the hospital immediately and your body breaking down, and then saying, yep, this is my place. This is where I feel at home. This is where I belong.
Yeah, that may belie deeper issues here, but yeah.
What is it looking back? Was it simply the food aspect and the coolness of being involved with that, or was there more to the experience that you think made it click for you, despite the ridiculous circumstances?
Yeah, there's a lot of it. I was never going to fit into corporate America. Obviously, someone who didn't wear dresses. And it was one way for me to keep up with my French. Not that much French was spoken there, but there was enough of it. And, I was never a morning person back then. Suddenly, I'm getting old and I'm becoming a morning person. But back then, I was always a night owl. And, and so that schedule really worked for me.
Was it a pretty eclectic group of people as well?
Not particularly at Boulé. But once I got to Chantereau, that was very eclectic. Those people were weirdos, and that was like, oh yeah, this is definitely where I belong.
So that was the next layer of I belong. Yeah. And so going backwards, I know that you grew up in the Midwest in a very non-diverse part of the country. Tell us a little bit more about your upbringing and that experience being essentially an outsider, as well as where the love of food really originates for you.
I think food on many levels is identity. So finding people that are open to other identities or other foods, which people were not in Michigan when I was growing up, for the most part, was liberating to me. I was one of a handful of people of color growing up in my sort of large elementary school. There was one other Asian kid. There was one Black kid. There were a handful of Chaldeans who were Catholic Iraqis.
Okay.
You were just ridiculed. And the kids were so mean growing up. How many taunts can you put up with?
So it went beyond just, oh, I may not totally fit in here, to active, in your face taunts. Okay.
Totally. Yeah.
But how does that feel? What's the impact of that, especially at that age?
You feel like you don't matter. You feel like you don't want to. I didn't want to be Asian. I wanted to be white. I remember trying to like make my nose look straight, or it was terrible.
Yeah.
And it's a lasting trauma that we deal with.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty obvious from your resume that you're an extremely high achiever. Do you feel like that ties to your experience as a child and being on the outside and feeling like you don't matter and saying, you know what, screw you guys, I do matter?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think as a woman in the kitchen, you have to do better than all the boys because you're female. I was always good at school. And so that was one thing that I know I did well that helps push you to excel. You do feel like you have to excel, I think, because of your quote unquote shortcomings as a person of color.
Yeah. And then in addition to being Asian and a non-diverse community in the Midwest, pretty non-traditional, very cool, eclectic upbringing. Can you tell us about that?
We were freaks. When people traveled from where I came from, they would go to Florida, which I was very jealous of. Or they would have houses in the Upper Peninsula or something like that. Yeah, they get to go to places like Disneyland or the beach. My parents were just nerds. They took us to places like Iran, China before the Nixon administration. We had FBI files.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Interesting.
So you got exposed to very unique travel opportunities throughout your childhood. Then there's this extra layer that you mentioned about being a woman in, especially at that time, a male-dominated culinary industry. Do you have a story that kind of illustrates that? I
remember being in France and doing an internship in this one 2 Michelin-starred restaurant called l'Espadon. It was a brutal schedule. You go in at 8 o'clock in the morning, work until 3, take an hour off, and then come back and work dinner service until midnight. You didn't have enough time to sleep.
Yeah.
And that was like 6, sometimes that was 7 days a week. It was brutal. But they treat you like a girl. On some level, they were like, oh, I'll carry that for you. You just wanted to be treated like everybody else. And this happened in the States, too. I just remember this one little kid was really nice to me, but it was just sort of like, I'll do that for you, young lady. I'm like, I'm twice your age. And because they start when they're like 7.
Right, yeah. So a diminishing kind of an attitude.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So then you keep moving through the industry and you start Annisa. And it would seem that now that's your opportunity to create your own version of what you want this all to look like. What was your vision for that? What inspired you to do it and spend all of your life savings and saying, I'm all in. This is what I want to do?
I think at that age, you don't really think about your life saving. You just do it. You take risks without thinking about it. But I had been the chef of this restaurant called Merezi on Fifth Avenue. It was probably the first creative Korean restaurant in the city and well before its time. It was owned by a subsidiary of Samsung and they were very corporate. We got a review from the New York Times, which was like 2 stars. And they mentioned one dish that they really liked. And then the owners wanted me to take it off because they didn't like it. But it was just singled out in this Times review. I was like, this is the wrong time to take it off.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to come in for this. It was one of the things that Ruth Rachel had liked the most. And I was like, you know what? The only way I'm going to get creative control of my menu is if I open my own place. Owning a restaurant is, on many levels, not very fun. I remember David Boulay asking what my long-term goals were. I was like, no, I don't know. I just become a chef somewhere. Well, I was like, you don't want to own your own restaurant? I was like, no, this looks insane.
Why would anyone do that?
And he said, then why are you doing this? And I came to realize that you're right. Why am I doing this? So that's why I opened Annisa. And it was great. It was a labor of love.
Yeah. And you've described to me that you chose specifically contemporary American cuisine and being related to this whole idea of a fusion of intersectionality. Can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. I think contemporary American, in my mind, is the haute cuisine of our country. And it draws on all the influences that are available here. We are a country of immigrants. As such, you can draw on all these different influences. All of it's American on some level. And that fits in with my identity. I grew up, yes, I'm Asian. My stepfather was white. He had a German family. Both of my parents worked, so I've had various nannies and African-American nannies, a Hungarian nanny, just a multicultural upbringing, plus all the travel that we did. I just don't feel like I ever fit into anyone's box. And I think contemporary American is a huge category which befits this huge country.
Yeah, America as a melting pot, it's your opportunity to bring that all together and for yourself to push outside of whatever boxes people might be trying to put you into.
Yeah, people will always try to put me in boxes.
Yeah. If we could talk about that for a minute, what are the boxes that people try to put you in?
Yeah, everyone thinks that I'm like this Chinese, I can make Chinese food. China is also a huge country with like 12 major, 13 major cuisines within China. How do you know all of that? I don't speak Chinese. I speak French.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
but I don't speak Chinese. I can't read the labels of a lot of these things. And it's hard to learn. You can't just buy a book. It's okay, you need chili sauce for this or bean sauce for this. What kind of bean sauce? There are like 12 different kinds. What are you talking about? So I'm learning and I want to learn and I want to be able to represent. It's just interesting. I remember this cookbook author asked me to submit a recipe for some women's cookbook and I sent in something, it may have been like Italian influence or something. And they're like, oh no, we really wanted something Asian. And so I was really annoyed, but I ended up sending in something that was Japanese influenced and that was fine because then it becomes racial. Asia is not a monolith and
Right.
there's no Japanese part of my family, but
Right.
that is one of my favorite cuisines. Yeah, I can draw on those influences easier than I can on Chinese influences and something.
That's interesting. And it was probably a little bit of an interesting tightrope for you to walk because you, I can tell, are very proud of your Asian heritage. And at the same time, you don't want to be pigeonholed as people are coming to you with various assumptions. How did you start to navigate that in a way that felt relatively comfortable?
The media would invariably come to me about Chinese New Year. We never celebrated Chinese New Year growing up. But I don't know, I was interested to learn as I'm interested in any culture and any food culture. So Googled it.
Yeah.
And then my restaurant, every Chinese New Year, I would do my Chinese American take on the lucky ingredients. Like I'd do an 8-course tasting menu if 8 is a lucky number. But all this stuff I've learned, which is fine. I don't think I have any more rights over Chinese food than anybody else.
Yeah. So you used this learning opportunity and then incorporated it into what you did in a way that was true and made it your own, which is very much in line with what you talked about in intersectionality. With Annisa, you had this opportunity to create what your vision was. Can you describe maybe what one of your best days or your best experiences there was?
There's always those times on the line that you remember where it's just busy and there's tickets on the top and tickets on the bottom and you're getting through it and the food is coming out great and it's just this dance and this rhythm that you're doing and everyone's working in unison and it's just, it feels great. Getting our Michelin-starred was awesome. Getting any of the accolades are always nice.
And you've talked about in what you were just describing too, this kind of calm within the storm where you seem to really thrive. What is it about you that you feel like, again, you have this moment where you're in the kitchen the first time and you have these crazy circumstances and you're like, yes, this is me. This is where I belong. And then you're also describing it, Annisa, some of your best moments were when the craziness was happening and you were finding this pocket at the center of it. Where do you think that comes from for you?
I have a mind that wanders too much and it's like a bad neighborhood. You know, in there too long, I will get beaten up. So I think that moment on the line is like meditating. You're in the moment and you can only be in the moment. There's nothing else happening. It's this game of the orders are like a game of Tetris and you're just trying to fit it all in and the bottom line just keeps going away and looking good and perfect. And that's just awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you said Tetris. My college roommate had Tetris and I would use that as my stress reliever. And I played so much Tetris that when I would close my eyes at night to go to bed, I would see Tetris pieces falling. Yeah, it was fantastic. So I totally get that. And that there is such a satisfaction to watching those rows just collapse and disappear. And it's all very visceral. So I completely get that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm an overthinker and it can get a little wonky in there at times. And I've spent a lot of time learning how to be more present because when you're present, that's all there is. You can't overthink the past and you can't get lost in the what ifs about the future. You're just there, you're in the moment, and you're participating actively in whatever is going on in front of you. And there's a lot of satisfaction in that, I think, for everyone. And then some relief for me as an overthinker as well.
Yeah, totally. And it's also like a physical thing, cooking.
Yeah.
You turn this way and you try to get as much done as possible within each movement. All about this ballet of trying to be as efficient as possible.
And still graceful, though, right? With ballet is graceful. So you're being efficient, but you're creating this art essentially at the same time.
It's graceful. I wouldn't call it that graceful, but it's graceful in that the end result should be beautiful.
I love that. I have a new segment I'm going to be playing with this season called Thrive Takeaway with all of the guests. And the question I want to ask you is, if listeners remember only one thing from our conversation today, one thought, one piece of advice, what would you want them to carry with them so that they can thrive in their own careers?
I think you have to just bite the bullet and believe in yourself. Don't listen to all those voices in your head, the voices that I had growing up, which were you're not worthy, and you have to be tenacious. You can't give up. You have to keep on going. I think having drive is actually on some level a gift, but it's also something that you can cultivate. You can't be waiting around for something to happen to you. You have to make it happen for yourself.
Yeah. And one of the things that's remarkable to me about you is you have drive, and I just can tell that you're passionate about the work that you do. What's your opinion? You can have drive. You also have to check it against your kind of values and what lights you up at the same time, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You're not going to have drive around something that you don't care about or that you don't love. You have to love it.
Yeah.
Find what you love and don't worry about the money. The money will come later. There's nothing worse than looking back and saying, oh, I could have done that. But yeah, if you see yourself getting complacent, it's time to get up and do something. As long as you're happy.
Yeah.
I think that's what's the most important thing. And you're living a good life. I think that's what's most important. Do you have to be the best chef out there? No, you don't.
You just have to decide if you're happy, and if you're not, then identify the drive to keep moving until you find your happiness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, that's our Thrive takeaway. If you're listening and I got you thinking in any way, I invite you to explore your own path to thriving in your career and beyond. I have a free thriving assessment that offers a gentle but powerful way to get clarity on where you're excelling and where you can increase joy, fulfillment, and impact. Takes just a minute, gives you instant personalized results. You'll find it at shantijoygold.com in the upper right-hand corner. And now I'm going to pivot us to the segment of the podcast that I call It's My Podcast, so there will be music. I believe that music, like storytelling, really hits at the heart of our humanity, considering that you're involved with the ephemeral arts that may resonate with you as well. I will ask you what I ask all guests. If there were one song you could put in a time capsule and preserve at all costs for future generations, what would it be and why?
Could You Believe by Al Jarreau?
Yeah.
I think it's just a really beautiful song. It's so soulful. It's hopeful. And I think in order to exactly thrive in this life, you got to believe.
Yeah.
I do think that I'm firmly rooted in science and logic and such. But I think what this song is conveying is hope. And I think that's just important.
It's a beautiful song. I did not know it. And I was thrilled to hear it for the first time. And now I will be hearing it many times because in addition to putting it on our playlist for the podcast, I'm going to put it on my own personal playlist. His voice is so smooth.
Yeah.
And it's simple. It's him singing just with keyboards. And as you said, it's got this kind of gospel, spiritual, hopeful feel to it. For folks that may be cerebral by nature, this just hits at a kind of a heart level. So we will absolutely add that to the playlist and thrilled to have it. As we're winding toward the end of the podcast, what else would you like to tell us about the work you're doing in the world and where people can find out more about it?
I also host culinary tours around the world with a company called the Tour de Forks, like Forks. It's the best job in the whole world. We go all over the place, and there's usually no more than 12 people on each. So it's small, and everyone shares a love of food and culture, and we'll see the sites as well. And a lot of times we'll have a historian with us to give us the background. And yeah, it's really a great gig. But then we also visit food artisans. Our son loved foraging for mushrooms, or in Sicily we went diving for sea urchin, and then we ate them. It's a wonderful.
Oh my God, what a combination for you. Food, travel, mushroom foraging. It just sounds like meant to be.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
What are some of the destinations that you've hit or are going to hit in the future?
Next year, we're going to do France. We're going to do Lyon, which I lived in France and I never went to Lyon, which is the food capital of France,
Oh,
which
how
is
about that?
very sad.
Yeah.
So we're going to go do Lyon, and nearby is Beaujolais. So I'm excited for that. What else are we doing? We're doing Iceland next year.
Oh, goodness.
Which I've never been to. I had a friend who was a artist from Iceland, and I just always wanted to go. Where else are we going? I think we're going to try to do Japan part 2. We went last year to Japan, and this time we're going to do Okinawa, which is really beautiful. Hopefully we'll go fishing.
Oh, wow. And then all of this clearly expands your palate and what you bring into your own cooking as well, I'm certain, right?
Yeah, and it's great. I meet chefs over there that hopefully will come cook with us at Stylus, and I can take that influence and use in the restaurant there. It's a win-win situation.
That's awesome. So Tour de Forks, you can find it tourdeforks.com, TOURDEFORKS.com. And Stylus, we've talked about, that's Stylus, STYLUS.NYC. Anything else about Stylus?
There's always stuff to talk about with Stylus. It's going to be beautifully appointed. They are sparing no cost. It's going to be gorgeous. And we're going to have an incredible coffee program. And they've got all these different little rooms. There'll be 2 rooms where you can stay overnight.
Awesome. I can't wait to see that unfold and to come experience it as well. I just want to thank you so much for being here today. You have such an impressive, eclectic, accomplished background, and the intersectionality of who you are and how that's shown up in the work that you do and the artistry that you create is really inspiring. And I'm glad that I had a chance to break dosas with you at the farm with the goats. And I hope that our paths cross again, either at Patty's farm or along the way. So thank you so much for being here again, Anita. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. That brings this episode of Stories We Haven't Shared to a close. I believe stories are our humanity waiting to be shared, and listening makes it possible. Thanks so much for being here today by our virtual campfire. Until next time, and thank you again so much to Anita. Take care.